I wanted to say a big thank you to our sponsor, Talent Insights. Talent Insights are Australia's leading data specialist recruitment business. They are experts in recruitment strategy and delivery for analytics and data teams. They are the go-to recruitment business for all your data roles in Australia, and they can help both with permanent hires and short-term project-focused data resources. I've used Talent Insights in the past, and I've always found them fantastic to work with. Visit them at talentinsights.com.au.
Welcome everyone to another episode of Data Futurology. In this podcast, we cover the challenges and the topics that leaders in machine learning, data science, and artificial intelligence are wrestling with, and we bring you different approaches from leaders in the area from around the world. Before we jump into today's topic, I have to say thanks to our sponsor. So we've got Talent Insights here, who have been supporting us for quite a while and allow us to bring you this content to the community for free, which is great. We got quite a few people joining today. One message from Elena saying hello from the sunny, for now, side of Monash. Welcome. So today's very special guest is Nonna Milmeister. She is the Chief Data and Analytics Officer at RMIT University. Nonna has an amazing career. She has been a pioneer in data management and information quality. And obviously now as a Chief Analytics Officer is doing tremendous and super exciting work at the university, which we're going to be hearing all about. So Nonna, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Thank you very much, Felipe. Thank you for having me on the show.
Wow, I'm very excited to have you on the show. So I thought we could kick off by asking you if you can tell us a bit about your role at the university and the remit. You have quite a broad series of responsibilities. So if you can walk us through the different areas, that would be really good place to start, please.
Okay. So I'm the first Chief Data and Analytics Officer at RMIT University. And so I think I probably shaped my role over the last 2 years to be what it is now. I am responsible for data and analytics and for data governance. And my key responsibility is to develop and implement data and analytics strategy at university. That, however, doesn't mean that I'm responsible for fixing all of the data quality issues. As I keep telling my stakeholders, that's not my job, that's their job. Mm-hmm. But I definitely will help by setting up the right governance structures, the right accountabilities, and clear the way for us to do really great things with analytics as well.
That's incredible, and what an opportunity to be the first Chief Data and Analytics Officer at such a big organization and get to shape not only the role but the strategy for the organization as a whole. That's super interesting. So before we jump into the work that you've been doing there for the past 2 years, could you tell us a little bit about your background and how you got to that role throughout your career?
With pleasure. I was born in Moscow, Russia, and I got my first degree in engineering in Russia. So it can just tell you that engineers can do anything they put their mind to.
I love it.
And when I migrated to Australia, there were no engineering jobs, definitely, because it was in the middle of the recession in 1991. So without references, I had no choice but to do some more study. And I've applied to 3 different universities and thought, well, if I'll be accepted into one, I'll just do that. And I was accepted to all 3. Then it was a big choice to do computer science or to do Masters of Engineering or to do project management. And I thought that project management probably suits me more. And so I've done master's degree in project management from RMIT. and that gave me an absolute ticket, to life and to my career. I started working as a consultant in a part of the organization that, for the first time, started thinking about data. And very quickly, I realized that I'm more interested in data than I am in managing data projects.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, it's an interesting story. The company engaged a very large consulting company, paid a lot of money to get them to define methodology for how they estimate the cost of food data quality.
Mm-hmm.
The company came up with 250 pages report that they presented to our team and to our general manager. And after the meeting, I had a feeling that no one was any wiser on how to actually do it. And no one was in a position to read the 250 pages report. So I talked to a few people, worked very long hours when my kids went to sleep for about a week. I come up with a 6-page methodology.
Mm-hmm.
That was quite easy to understand. And that was the first time I was promoted. I got a team and we started really looking at the data quality and how we can estimate the cost of it. And from that, I established a data quality consulting practice at my company. And then I joined one of the big telcos, built the data management center of excellence there, and then end up leading an IT, large part of IT, managing all the activation and billing systems. And then I thought, well, I can do that, but I'm still more interested and more passionate about data than about software development. And so I left, joined insurance company, built the data strategy there. And then RMIT had hunted me, and I thought, this is just perfect. I have to give back what RMIT gave me. I'm very happy to work for RMIT. It's an amazing institution with really rich history. It was established on the 7th of June. The reason I remember it's because it's my birthday.
Nice.
In 1887. As a working man college. And the motto at that time of the university, it wasn't the university then, was skilled hand and cultivated mind. And we still use this motto because I think it really resonates with people. So yes, very happy to work for RMIT and very happy to share my experience with you as well.
No, that's incredible. What an amazing career. And I love that throughout your career you've been proactive and willing to go the extra mile, and it shows what the payoff of that extra effort. As you were saying, like simplifying and clarifying something so important as data quality for the business led to your first promotion. And that looks like to be a pattern that you've taken throughout your career. And that's incredible. I also love the fact that you keep coming back to what you love and kind of like staying true to yourself on that side. That's really, really interesting too. So with all that experience, you've definitely had a lot of opportunities to define or develop a data strategy for organizations across different industries too. Could you tell us about your approach to data strategy and how you think about it from your perspective?
Yes, I think over the years I've attended a lot of conferences where the strategy for data was always based on technology. Or, like buy this tool and it will solve all your problems, or implement that platform and our platform is better than everyone else's platform. And maybe it is, but you can never start with technology. You start with culture. And in every organization that I've worked for, the first thing I've done is to understand what is the business strategy. What's this company or organization really wants to achieve? Like RMIT was very different to commercial organizations that I worked for before, because it's a non-for-profit organization, and people at RMIT genuinely care about students, about the quality of education, and less care about reducing costs and all of these things that large sort of commercial companies worried about. So with that in mind, and with an understanding of what we need to achieve and how we need to mature our data and analytics within every organization, you really need to look at what is the culture, do we need to educate staff? Do we need to introduce data literacy? For us, for RMIT, for example, one of the biggest initiative was in that cultural space to build a data culture, data literacy modules for our data analytics staff, but also for wider university. Make sure they understand what data governance is, what their role is, what the roles of other people within the organization. But also we have a unique opportunity because we work with academics who might be specialists in an area of data or analytics. Could be text recognition or text analysis or something else. And we need to bring them on a journey with us and make them to sort of work with us to solve university problems as well. So that's sort of on a cultural side. But then before you implement any technology, you need to build capability within a team. That's really important too. How this team needs to be structured, what are the key skills that are required, how do we mix them together, how we make that team successful, how do we train the team, how do we create a really good atmosphere within a team, how do we work with the rest of the company. So that bit is really important as well. And of course, in any data governance, in any data strategy, data governance is very important. It needs to be a focus, because we need to manage data risks and we need to manage them effectively. We need to bring all of the university on the journey. And so data governance is definitely one of the areas that we usually work to implement in any data strategy within an organization.
That's fantastic. And tell me, what is your perspectives or your views on how to do data governance effectively?
That's a good question. And I think the short answer is data governance is not something that chief data officer does. Data governance is something that is done by everyone in the organization. And I think what's the most important thing there is to make sure that everyone understands what their accountabilities are. So you're not just create a good data governance policy. You create this sort of very clear set of accountabilities. In our case, we have a concept of data stewards network that make sure that when we talk about definitions, we talk about business definitions from every angle within the organization, so that when we agree to it, everyone can sign off that this is the right definition. And we usually start with that. Last year was we really focused on business definitions. And it's our data trustees that sign off on the data definitions, but only after they've been discussed between data stewards and agreed that this is the right one. I think last year I had probably the best compliment I ever had in my entire career, because someone said, "I've created a buzz." That's what data governance is all about. When people start talking about definitions, when people start talking about how we structure our data within the organization, when people understand that they are responsible for how they handle data, if they input data into the system, they're responsible for that quality. If they migrate data from one system to another, they are responsible to make sure that they don't do anything to jeopardize that quality as well. But it's not only about accountability, it's about frameworks and standards as well. So we've done a lot of work on setting up these fundamentals. What is our data quality framework? What is our data ethics framework, which is really important, especially for analytics as well. What is our master data management standard? We've done a lot of work. Like we think about data lifecycle and how you manage that effectively. I think to me that's probably very important. The other thing is that's very important is the concept of data trustees. It's our data trustees that have accountability for the specific data domains, and we've been very careful to define what exactly does that mean. In a lot of companies, it's based on system by system. So if you're a system owner, you are responsible for the data within that system. That doesn't work. I saw the examples of how it doesn't work in many different places. So in our case at RMIT, we developed a conceptual data model that is independent on systems, but it's clearly defined what are the key fundamental data blocks that we need to manage carefully to make RMIT successful. And our data trustees are responsible for these data blocks. And they're responsible for everything within it. The data definitions, data quality. They're responsible for certifying reports based on, do we know where the data come from? Is it a good quality? Does it have the right definitions? All of this kind of stuff. And I thought that people will sort of say, no, that's not really our role. But people are actually quite happy to have that because they're sick of not knowing who to turn to or who will bid on their behalf as well. So, yeah, I think we've done quite a lot of work in this area, and people appreciate that.
That's fantastic, and I'm so glad that you went into this. It was an area that I was very, very keen to ask you more about. Interesting. I want to ask you more about the creation of the data blocks from a conceptual data perspective. What would be some examples of the areas that the data trustees are responsible for?
Oh, like for example, it is sort of historical that in every university, it's academic register that is responsible for students management, right? But in reality, student might be a staff member. He might work part-time as a staff member. He can be a researcher, right?
Yep.
Or he can have other different roles. So is it academic register that is responsible for managing a person rather than a student? Or is it somebody else? And it's these discussions with the senior leadership team that really helped us to identify, well, who is responsible for that person with all of its roles. Because as soon as you do that, it cuts through multiple decision-making channels. It speeds up decision-making. It makes it clear who's responsible for implementing initiatives and stuff like that. So that's extremely important.
That is fantastic, because that's the expectation of people, I guess, to be seen as one person, not as a series of roles that are
That's right.
Treated or accountable to different parts of the organization that may not align or work cohesively. So I think that is a fantastic change to bring in. That is great. And could you tell us more about the difference between the data owners and the data trustees, and the separation of roles, and what type of people perform each role?
I'm a big fan and follower of Larry English. I don't know if you guys have heard of this person. He unfortunately passed away now, but he was called the father of data quality. And he told me that there is no such thing as data owners. And I really subscribe to it. You don't own your piece of data or your data domain. Mm-hmm. You only manage it on behalf of the whole company. Mm-hmm. Because otherwise it creates this sort of silo environment that we really want to discourage. We want people to work with each other. And so in our case, data trustees are the people within every part of the organization at the working level that are responsible for defining data, for doing all of this great work, classifying information, managing data lifecycle, managing retention, all of this kind of stuff. Once they agree on what they need to do, then they go to their leadership team, and we define data trustees across every part of the organization, and then they approve whatever needs to be approved on behalf of data stewards. So data trustees are at that executive level. Mm-hmm. Most of them are part of our information governance board, that is a sort of a single decision-making body. And I think where I believe we really did very well is we made our information governance board a subcommittee of the highest sort of level of executive. In our case, it's Vice Chancellor Executive.
Wow.
And so anything that we approve is also visible to that highest level of executive leadership as well.
Yeah, incredible. That is really, really great.
Thanks for watching this video all the way to the end. I hope that you got a lot out of this discussion. And if you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe to the channel so more people can find out about the challenges that leaders have in the analytics and AI space. And that's what we're trying to share in Data Futurology. So please like and subscribe. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please tell your friends. Thank you so much.